The shark surfaces beside the raft without warning. Not a dramatic breach, not a cinematic splash, just a slow, deliberate rise of gray muscle beneath the water. Poon Lim sees the fin first, then the shadow, then the eye. The raft shifts under his feet. A crude wooden platform barely larger than a dining table. It creaks with every wave, every shift of his weight. The shark circles once. Twice, Poon Lim hasn't eaten in days, maybe longer. Time stopped behaving normally weeks ago. His skin is cracked open from salt. White sores cover his hands. His lips are split so deeply that every breath pulls blood into his mouth. But right now, none of that matters, because food is circling the raft. The plan is insane. Sharks are not prey, but starvation rewrites the rules of biology. The shark brushes the raft again. Lim moves, fast. His hand shoots into the water, grabbing the tail. For a moment, the animal doesn't react, confused by the sudden contact. Then it thrashes. The ocean erupts. The raft nearly flips. Lim raises the only weapon he has, a dented metal water jug, and brings it down. Once, twice again, the shark's body jerks violently, smashing against the wood. Salt water explodes across the raft. Lim holds on. If he lets go now, the shark disappears, and he starves. Another blow. Another. Then the thrashing slows. The body goes heavy. Still, Lim collapses onto the raft, chest heaving. He doesn't celebrate. He doesn't even look relieved. He just stares at the animal. Because now comes the real task: getting the blood. Because out here, blood is water. The man who just killed a shark with a water jug is not a fisherman. He's not a soldier. He's a ship steward. And he has been drifting alone in the Atlantic Ocean for over 4 months. His name is Poon Lim. The year is 1942. And by the time someone finally finds him, he will have survived 133 days alone at sea. The longest solo survival on open ocean ever recorded. No modern equipment, no navigation tools, no radio. Just a wooden raft and a man who refused to die. But the shark circling his raft today is only one small problem, because the real nightmare started months earlier. The night the ocean exploded beneath his ship, and within minutes, Poon Lim would become the only man left alive in the middle of the Atlantic. In 1942, the Atlantic Ocean was one of the most dangerous places on Earth. German U-boats hunted Allied shipping lanes like wolves. Merchant vessels, slow, unarmed, and lightly protected, were easy targets. Thousands of sailors vanished in those waters. Poon Lim was not a soldier. He was a 25-year-old steward working aboard the British merchant ship SS Benlomond. His job was simple: serve meals, clean cabins, stay out of the way. The ship left Cape Town carrying cargo toward the Americas. No escort, no convoy. Just one slow merchant vessel crossing submarine territory. That was mistake number 1, traveling alone. But wartime shipping was chaotic. Convoys were overloaded. Ships moved whenever they could, and the Atlantic was enormous. For days, the voyage was uneventful. Calm water, steady engines, routine, until November 23, 1942. Just before midnight, the torpedo hit without warning. No alarm, no time to react, just a violent shockwave slamming into the hull. Steel plates ripped open. The engine room flooded instantly, and the Benleamond began sinking in minutes. In wartime shipwrecks, survival isn't determined by strength. It's determined by seconds. And Poon Lim had almost none, because within the next few moments, the ship would disappear beneath him, and survival would become a race against time physics, and pure chance. The first sign isn't the explosion, it's the wrongness. A half second where the engine vibration disappears, like the ship's heartbeat is suddenly removed, and every loose object on board becomes weightless. Then, the torpedo hits. It doesn't sound like a bang. It sounds like the ship is being torn open by something massive and mechanical. A shockwave punches through the hull and turns the interior into a pressure chamber. Bulkheads flex, pipes rattle, bolts shear. The deck jumps underfoot, as if the ocean just rammed the ship from below. Poon Lim is thrown sideways. Not a fall, a violent slam. His shoulder smashes into a wall. Pain flashes down his arm. The air fills with dust and grit, tiny fragments shaken loose from the ship's ribs. Then the second sound arrives. Water, not splashing, rushing. A heavy, pressurized roar, like a door has opened to a moving river. A torpedo doesn't just punch a hole, it creates collapse. The explosion blows a section of hull outward, and the surrounding steel twists under stress. Seams split, rivets fail, and the ocean, thousands of tons of it, forces its way inside. Fuel hits the air at the same time. Oil, diesel, chemicals, sharp, choking, burning the throat as they mix with salt and fear. Lim runs, or tries to. The ship is already changing shape. A merchant vessel is built like a long spine divided into compartments. When one section floods, balance shifts, and the entire structure begins to tilt. At first, it's subtle, just enough that your feet feel wrong. Then the angle increases. The deck becomes a slope. Men are suddenly sprinting uphill. Gravity is no longer neutral. It's an enemy. Someone crashes into him. He stumbles, catches himself against a railing that vibrates under his grip. He looks over the side. The ocean below is black and endless. Then he sees it. Fire, not towering flames. A spreading sheen. Oil catching light, crawling across the surface like something alive. The environment turns hostile in layers. First, the tilt. Then, the smoke. Then, the cold. A wave crashes over the deck, soaking him instantly. Salt water floods his clothes, dragging him down, clinging to his skin. His fingers stiffen as the cold begins its slow attack. The ship's lights flicker. One weak glow. Then darkness. In wartime, ships already run dim. Now there is almost nothing. Only shapes, noise, panic. Men fight toward lifeboats. Some are jammed. Some are already gone. A metal arm swings loose, slamming against the hull again and again. The ship shudders. Not like something sinking, like something failing. Flooded compartments pull downward. Air trapped inside forces its way upward. The structure groans under stress. It was never meant to survive. Lim reaches open air. Wind hits him hard. The Atlantic is no longer just water. It's a system designed to strip heat, steal breath, and reduce a human body to a timer. He sees men jumping. Some vanish instantly. Others surface, choking, thrashing in oil-coated water. Staying on the ship is death. Leaving the ship is also death. The water is freezing. The surface is poison. And the ship is still moving, dragging everything around it. The Benleamond dips. The tilt becomes a slide. His feet lose traction. He grabs at ropes, railings, anything, but the angle keeps increasing. For a moment, it feels like something beneath the ship is pulling it down. Then it drops again, a final violent shift. The ship is going. There are no escorts, no rescue signal that will arrive in time, no guaranteed lifeboat, just a black ocean and gravity. Lim looks at the water, then back at the ship. There is no good decision, only an unavoidable one. He jumps. The Atlantic hits like solid ground. Cold crushes his chest. and steals his breath. Oil coats his face. Salt floods his mouth. He kicks blindly, fighting debris, fighting suction, fighting the ship's dying pull. Behind him, the Benlomond makes a sound like something collapsing under its own weight. Then it disappears. No lights, no structure, no ship. Just debris and scattered survivors in a black ocean. Lim spins, coughing, searching for anything that floats. Because in the middle of the Atlantic, a human body lasts hours without shelter, days without water, weeks without food. But rescue? Rescue depends on luck. And out here, luck is rare. The ocean calms faster than it should. The noise fades. The screams disappear one by one. And when morning comes, Poon Lim will realize something far worse than drowning. He is alone, surrounded by open water in every direction, with no clear path to survival, and a problem that doesn't have a solution. Morning arrives without comfort, just light replacing darkness. The Atlantic stretches in every direction, flat, empty, infinite. No ships, no land, no sign that anything ever existed here. Only debris and a small wooden raft. Poon Lim finds it by accident. His hands strike wood while he moves through wreckage. A square platform barely large enough for one man. He drags himself onto it, coughing, burning, alive. The raft holds something critical, a survival box. Inside, biscuits, sugar, chocolate, a flashlight, flares, and a small container of water, enough for a short time, if rescue comes. But the Atlantic does not offer rescue on demand, and the first rule becomes clear immediately. Water decides everything. Within days, the body begins shutting down without it. The tongue swells, saliva disappears, blood thickens, the kidneys slow to conserve what little remains. The brain begins to fail. So Lim watches the sky. When rain comes, he becomes precise. He stretches canvas, angles surfaces, creates channels to guide droplets into containers. Even his shoes become tools. Every drop matters. The water tastes strange, metallic, sometimes touched by salt, but it keeps him alive. Food is harder. Fish move beneath the raft, but cannot be caught by hand. So he adapts. Threads become lines. Wire becomes hooks. Eventually, small fish appear on the raft, thrashing, shining in the sun. He eats them raw. The taste is harsh, warm blood. Salt, texture that fights against instinct. But hunger removes choice. Birds arrive next. They land occasionally, drawn by the raft. Lim studies them, waits, then builds traps, simple loops that tighten when a leg slips through. The first success is violent. Feathers scatter, movement stops. He hesitates only briefly, then finishes what survival requires. Days begin to blur. Sunburn becomes wounds. Salt dries into crystals that grind into skin. His lips split deeper. Muscle fades. The body consumes itself when fuel runs out. Fat disappears first, then muscle. Lim watches his own hands shrink, bone becoming visible beneath damaged skin. The raft demands attention too. Storms weaken it. Waves strike again and again, loosening joints. He repairs everything with whatever he has. Rope fibers, scraps, improvisation. The raft becomes less of a structure and more of a system barely holding together. Then the sharks return. They circle slowly, drawn by the constant scent of blood. One day, hunger overrides fear. He grabs one. The fight is immediate, violent. The animal thrashes with force far greater than his own. But desperation narrows focus. He strikes again and again with a metal container. Eventually, the movement stops. Inside the animal is something more valuable than meat: fluid. He drinks. Warm, heavy, necessary. Survival rewrites boundaries. Weeks pass. Then more. Time loses meaning, and the mind begins to change. Isolation distorts reality. He speaks to birds, responds to silence, hears voices that are not there. Faces from the past return without warning. The brain, deprived and exhausted, fills the emptiness. Sometimes ships appear, real ships. He signals, waves, shouts, but several pass without stopping. Out here, a man alone can be ignored, or misunderstood, or simply unseen. Hope becomes dangerous because it resets expectation, and disappointment cuts deeper each time. So he builds routine. Morning, check traps. Midday, repair. Afternoon, fish. Night, watch the sky. The routine becomes structure. Without it, the mind would collapse. The days stop being counted. Storms replace calendars. The moon replaces time. His body becomes almost unrecognizable. Thin, burned, reduced, but still functioning, still resisting, still continuing. During one rare calm evening, the ocean flattens completely. The sky glows with fading light. For a moment, the world feels still, and survival reveals its truth. It isn't strength, it's refusal. Refusal to stop, refusal to disappear. And then, after months, something changes. A sound, low, distant, unfamiliar. Lim lifts his head. At first, he doesn't trust it. The mind has betrayed him before. But on the horizon, something moves. A shape, not drifting, approaching. And for the first time in over 4 months, the possibility of an end appears. The shape becomes clearer as it approaches. A boat, not fading, not turning away, moving toward him. Brazilian fishermen had been working nearby waters when they noticed something unusual drifting in the distance. At first, it didn't look human, just debris. But something about the movement drew attention. They move closer, and then they see him, a man, or what remains of one. Poon Lim weighs almost nothing. His ribs press against skin darkened by months of exposure. Salt sores cover his body. His beard is uneven, his strength nearly gone. But he is alive. And when they reach him, he stands. After 133 days alone at sea, his body still responds. They bring him aboard, carefully. No dramatic moment, no speech, just controlled movement. And water, given slowly, measured, so the body doesn't collapse from sudden intake. Later, doctors examine him. Severe malnutrition, extreme dehydration, but alive. No major organ failure. The body had endured far beyond expected limits. Poon Lim's survival becomes something more than a story. It becomes a case study. His methods, collecting rainwater, catching birds, improvising tools, are analyzed, recorded, taught. But the real lesson isn't technical. It's psychological. Survival is not heroic. It is repetitive, painful, uncertain, and deeply ordinary in its persistence. For 133 days, the Atlantic attempted to erase one man. And every day, he continued. No victory moment, no dramatic turning point, just continuation, until eventually, someone saw him, and that was enough.